From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Dedication to athletics comes with a hefty price tag, and for people with disabilities, the cost is much higher.
Tackling new ambitions in a new sport. Will football replace football?
And the darker side of the gaming world, how female gamers combat harassment. Hello and welcome to Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Stephanie Shields.
And I'm Nate Fain. Thanks for joining us.
Many high school athletes strive to play tennis at the highest competitive levels, but does it take more than skill and hard work to excel? I explored some of the rarely discussed reasons behind high schoolers' success in tennis around the Valley.
Former Arcadia High School tennis star Jillian Rasmussen is one of the best in the state. In 2017, Rasmussen led Arcadia to the 5A team championship and won the title in doubles. But Rasmussen says her success is due to the nonstop training she's done outside of school.
High school is really fun, and it's like a good learning experience, but it's not nearly as competitive as practice here or tournaments with the USTA.
Rasmussen trained at a Scottsdale facility for 11 years, and those lessons can be pricey. Data compiled by Cronkite News suggests that high school teams in Arizona who routinely finish in the top 4 of the state tournament come from schools that have lower percentages of students on free or reduced lunch programs. This data suggests that tennis programs thrive in more affluent communities.
If you're actively taking privates and coming 6 days a week, it can cost $800 to $1,000 a month. So tennis isn't cheap.
DC Ranch Village Center here in Scottsdale is one of the many different facilities where high school students can train for tennis. But in other areas of Arizona, like Nogales, facilities like this are uncommon.
You know, there's not a ton of tennis courts, there's not a ton of tennis coaches, so it's a rather small community.
There are 41 public high schools in Arizona with boys tennis programs. Of the 7 schools that had top 4 finishes in team, singles, and doubles more than 5 times in the last 5 state tournaments, 6 of them have less than 20% of their students on free or reduced lunch programs in 2017. Private schools that charge tuition are also very successful. Brophy Prep had 12 top 4 finishes in the last 5 years.
Our top 8 to 9 guys do their own training with either lessons or clinics that they go to. And farther back in the ladder, like there are guys who still go to practice or go to clinics, but maybe go twice a week. Like these guys are regularly going, they're practicing 5-6 times a week.
However, some schools like Nogales High, which has nearly 70% of its students on free or reduced lunch, are able to be successful. The Apache's boys team has 2 top 4 finishes in the last 5 state tournaments.
A lot of the ones that are more serious will actually drive up to Tucson and take their lessons up in Tucson, where there's obviously a significant amount of tennis and coaches and private clubs.
Regardless of whether an athlete gets pricey lessons or not, both Cutler and Chalmers believe high school play provides an opportunity to learn team dynamics and unity, plus gives them a chance to play in college.
Jillian Rasmussen, who trained privately for over 10 years, will be playing Division I tennis at Seattle University this fall.
When it comes to signing up for sports, whether you're dedicated to one team or trying something new, there's always a cost involved. That cost is much higher for those with disabilities, as reporter Sam Hoyle discovered.
That's right, Nate. I visited Ability 360, a facility that specializes in working with disabled athletes on several occasions while reporting on the story. What I learned is that sometimes there is a price for inclusiveness.
For people with disabilities, playing sports comes with a costly price tag. For Ryan Russell, a car accident that happened 14 months ago while he was moving from Anaheim, California to Phoenix left him paralyzed from the waist down. 1 year later, he tried playing wheelchair basketball for the first time at Ability 360's fitness center in Phoenix. Russell's greatest worry was how much a wheelchair basketball chair costs.
It's not in my budget to, purchase a new sports chair to, keep going with recreational sports.
Members at Ability 360 are able to try out sports like wheelchair basketball for a minimal fee by using chairs the facility owns. If someone were to buy one for themselves, it wouldn't be cheap. Wheelchairs specifically designed for sports can start at $1,500. For athletes who compete at an elite level like USA National wheelchair rugby player Ernie Chun, that price tag can be much higher.
Right now, my rugby chair runs maybe close to 5,000 or more.
Even someone who plays at an amateur level for an extended period of time, the bills can stack up.
I'm playing for about 13 years now, and then I've been coaching off and on for about 6 years. If I were to put a number on it, just based off of, you know, not just what I've paid personally, but what I've had to help raise, you're talking in the tens of thousands of dollars.
With the cost of adapted athletics being so high, one way that people with disabilities are able to alleviate some of those costs is through grants provided by organizations like the Challenged Athletes Foundation.
It's really important to get people equipment that they will use. Now, this year we sent out grants in 95 different sports.
The initial buy-in for sports may seem expensive, but according to Liz Williams, executive director of the Junior Adaptive Athletes in Motion Foundation and mother to a youth adaptive athlete, those prices can go even higher.
The basketball chairs, if you're getting a program chair that I spoke about, which is just kind of a generic chair, they start about $2,500. Customized chairs, $3,000 and up. My son's basketball chair was $4,500.
Even though playing adaptive athletics has such a high price tag, do athletes think that the cost is worth it?
Yeah. And it's funny you ask that question because sometimes the teammates and I, we go over like, man, add up all your chairs. I could have like a, probably no joke, $50,000 nice vehicle or something, you know?
Sometimes the opportunity to compete can be worth its weight in gold. If you're looking for more information on adaptive athletics or how to get involved with any of the programs at Ability 360, check out the organization's website at ability360.org.
Could football one day tackle football in Mexico?
More kids are starting to put on shoulder pads south of the border. Coming up next, why a new era of sports is about to kick off.
And the World Cup won't come to Arizona anytime soon, but that isn't stopping Valley soccer businesses from thriving.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia.
From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
A youth sports team in Mexico is taking it upon themselves to grow a particularly Americanized sport within their community. Our Felipe Corral Jr. touched down in the city of San Luis to see what steps are being taken by youth and professional clubs to bring football across the border.
Down in San Luis, football is simply growing, but that wouldn't be possible without the heart and dedication of some key players. American football is making an impact in the community of San Luis Rio Colorado, Sonora, and Mexico. The sport is growing and local youth are finding a new passion that is not football. The man behind the movement in San Luis is Edgar Barraza, a former player and coach. who is now president of the youth football team, Los Aztecas de San Luis.
Si tú ya has convivido con personas que han jugado esta disciplina,
If you have interacted with anyone who has played football, a brotherhood is created. Great citizens are created. You always work in a team. You are always searching for ways to help your teammate out.
sacar adelante a tu compañero.
Los Aztecas have over 50 players from elementary to high school and compete in tackle and flag football across the region. The increase in players participating reflects football's growth in San Luis and in Mexico.
The kids get really motivated. It's a novel experience for them. It is influencing a lot of them because I have seen it and I have talked with them. It is influencing them to want more.
They're raw gems. You just have to really chip away at them and get them to commit and get them to play American football at a decent level. I think that's the next step for the city of San Luis.
Cantu was the first Mexican-born non-kicker not to go to college in the United States and play in the NFL. He and the Arizona Cardinals have held football camps for the Aztecas de San Luis for the past 2 years, not only to provide the necessary resources for these youth, but to increase the popularity of the sport south of the border.
We have kids camps that we do every single year in Nogales, in Hermosillo, in Obregón, and throughout the whole state. And San Luis just happens to be the new place to visit because it's the sport that's growing is really going towards a positive direction, and we see the impact of these kids.
In what way does it help me that they see these ex-players? One example is Rolando, who is Mexican and made it to the NFL. And while they say, I like it, and they continue, and the number of youths add up.
American football has been present in Mexico for over 100 years, but that comes with adversity, including lack of equipment and funds, and educating families on the physical risk.
That the parents know that their child is working with people fully capable. I could give you an example. We have coaches that used to be ex-players.
Support them with kids camps, with sometimes we're giving them jerseys, practice jerseys or t-shirts or something so they can really grasp and continue to play the sport.
But football nevertheless gives youth a chance to dream big.
Well, to be honest, my dream is to play in the NFL. I know it won't be easy, but I have to try.
Football will remain Mexico's most popular sport, but football will continue giving people and youth in this border city a sense of community and teamwork. Cantu said the camp in San Luis has grown to over 100 participants in the past 2 years and expects that number to double as they head back for a third consecutive year.
Thank you, Felipe. And while we're on the pitch, the rise of United States professional soccer is threatening the relevance of college teams. Reporter Bianca Barajas met with local soccer stars who sacrifice college for the game.
American-born athletes who dream of playing professional soccer in America are now faced with a dilemma. They have to choose between going to college or playing professionally with a club. More and more, they decide to take the professional route, which has caused concern amongst college soccer coaches and advocates.
Even in those routes, we're finding, some players are even using those as stepping stones, and again, foregoing, a college career because of maybe an affiliation that one of those teams has with a professional organization.
Athletes choose to forego attending a college because chances of going pro at a younger age are more likely by playing club. Pro organizations have the freedom to search globally and a less rigorous schedule.
Often in college soccer, especially at some of the other levels, for travel budgets and things of that nature, games are played back to back, which is not, optimal for athletes, performance, recovery. So from a scheduling standpoint, that can be one of the biggest things that can help, because then we get more contact time with our student athletes.
Players that come out of academy or high school can consider going there first because it's the same season as academy, 9 months, 10-month season, and MLS teams can help college coaches and the college programs by investing more in the college program.
The United Soccer League and existence of Major League Soccer teams are a bigger threat to college soccer. To play in the USL, players become professional. The Premier Development League and the United Premier Soccer League allow players in college to get better and faster. Both leagues also play under FIFA rules, which colleges do not follow. College players can use PDL and UPSL to get identified from a USL or MLS team, and then leave college early.
With me, I left GCU early because Rick Shantz remembered me from FC Tucson, PDL Summer 2016 and wanted me to join Phoenix Rising.
Bigger, more passionate crowds have lured American college-age athletes away from the college route and have led them to chase a professional career earlier.
Obviously, everybody's different and everybody has their own dream, or if you want to go to school instead of playing soccer, but playing in front of thousands of fans and competing and with a great group of guys is a huge thing.
College soccer, especially men's soccer, is losing relevance for reasons like not being able to return to school after a professional soccer stint.
The hardest decision is trying to see if you're going to go college or pro, but you can't go both. So I think you have to choose between one or the other, and you can't go back to college whenever you sign a contract to play soccer again. So I think whenever you're talking to your parents or whoever you're talking to, it's a really big decision that you're about to make.
Not only Tim Marchisotto, but a number of collegiate coaches are worried that men's soccer is at risk of becoming an afterthought. Reporting from Phoenix, Bianca Barajas, Cronkite News.
The NCAA will continue their current schedule, and coaches remain hopeful that college soccer will continue to uphold importance.
France wasn't the only winner in the 2018 World Cup. Several Phoenix businesses also won during a time that is usually slow for soccer. Emily Wirtz traveled to local Valley businesses to find out more about the local impact of the World Cup.
The most popular sporting event in the world offers an opportunity for soccer-oriented businesses to thrive. That's exactly what happened here in the Valley.
June's usually typically one of the worst months of the year for us because nobody can play outside because it's too hot. So we definitely see a big increase with the World Cup.
Brian and Tammy Baker, who own a soccer specialty store, Soccer Post Arrowhead, were hesitant about this year's World Cup because the U.S. did not qualify for the first time since 1986. Despite their concerns, they saw a significant spike in business, with Phoenix soccer fans choosing new countries to root for.
Well, Mexico, hands down, is the most popular jersey here. And then after that, there's a lot of more bandwagon fans.
As the teams progress, then those are the jerseys that start to sell more?
Where do the people with those new jerseys go to watch the game? The owner of the Georgian Dragon English pub in Phoenix also witnessed a surge in business during this year's tournament.
What's different about this one is US is not in it. So I didn't know what kind of year we were going to have. But I'm thinking, oh my God, the only times we're going to have big games is for the Mexico games, which were insane, and obviously for the England game. But a lot of Americans have been coming in just because they want to watch good football.
Not only did the World Cup bring additional business to the pub, it brought business at unusual hours. Georgian Dragon opened at 6 a.m. during the tournament. Normally, the pub opens at 11 a.m.
The England game was at 5 o'clock in the morning. My staff worked at 2, worked till 2 in the morning, closed the pub by 3, stayed, and opened the pub at 4 so that we could be open at 5.
Soccer Post and Georgian Dragon brought in first-time customers during the World Cup. They credit positive Facebook reviews for the first-timers.
I'd say we had a big increase in people that I think didn't know about us before. Like we have a Facebook page, and on that we had like all these new likes.
On Facebook, I've been getting reviews from people saying I've never been here before. I didn't know this place was here. And I've said, well, how's that cave you've been living in? Because we've been here for 23 years. But a lot of people have been saying this is a great place. We're totally going to come back again.
Another local business that was positively affected by the World Cup is Phoenix Rising FC. An increase in game attendance is only one way that the club benefited.
We did a really good job of kind of being all over the Valley in terms of watch parties for the games and engaging with fans that maybe know about us or know about Didier but haven't come to a game, and probably now I think they're more likely to. I think we saw a little bit of an uptick around that time, the late June game especially. We sold more merchandise during that time frame, so I think it helped a lot of Phoenix businesses, and hopefully in 4 years with the U.S. being back in the World Cup, I think it'll help even more.
The World Cup was a success for Valley businesses even without the U.S. in the tournament. For Cronkite News, Emily Wirtz.
The 2026 World Cup will be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada in a joint bid, though Arizona elected not to be a host in the tournament. The world of gaming is steadily growing, and women are beginning to throw on headsets to compete.
Coming up next, a look inside the darker side of the gaming community and how female gamers cope with harassment.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Gaming has seen a massive boom, according to Newzoo, a provider of market intelligence covering the gaming industry. It estimates that 2.3 billion gamers around the world will spend $137.9 billion on games in 2018. But along with the success comes a darker side to the story.
Sexual harassment has been at the forefront of news in recent months, bringing growing awareness of the problem, thanks in part to the #MeToo movement. Cronkite News reporter Carino Haro shares the story of 3 women from the gaming industry and their firsthand experiences with harassment.
You can actually hit the correct target this time. That would be freaking swell.
It was just a completely random message. They didn't even say anything in my chat, and it was just, can I on your face?
There was someone that just said, wow, you are so annoying. Please shut up.
I've had guys ask me what color my underwear are, if I'm wearing a bra.
That's not my dog's name. So my handle is Worship HK, but I go by HK because I worship Hello Kitty. I'm sitting here and I'm like, what in the hell did I do to warrant a comment like that? Like, I know I'm not dressed in any manner that would be inappropriate. And it's hard when you're first starting out too, because you don't know how to react to those kinds of situations. So it really kind of deters you from wanting to continue, because it's kind of soul crushing to have people talk to you like that, especially because they know they can hide behind a screen and it's not a big deal for them, but it personally affects you. So it was a pretty brutal experience and really eye-opening to, you know, what I felt like I was in for when it comes to streaming as a female. I've experienced things like having people mansplain games to me or do the quizzing because I'm not nerdy enough type stuff. So like I knew I was in for some of it, but for that to be like the first comment that I received was just like, wow, is this what it's really like?
I think this isn't even like just in the gaming industry. I feel like this is something I see a lot with any woman in power. I actually just completely hid my identity at first. So I didn't tell people I was a girl. I didn't tell them I was 10 years old. I guess a part of me already knew that I had to hide that about myself, but because of my false identity, I didn't experience a lot of what I hear other women did back in the beginning of the MMO days. And when I let them know, like, hey, I'm a girl, they're like, you get a bunch of different responses to that. You get people who start fawning over you or trying to help you out or even flirting with you. And then you get the people saying, hey, you don't belong here, leave the server, what are you doing, right? Even today, I feel a little scared to use voice chat, especially with people I don't know in real life. So that's just been my experience. I kind of just like distance myself from the opportunity to be hurt or ridiculed because of my gender. And I don't feel like I'm losing out too much, honestly. I prefer social gaming regardless with my own friend groups. So I do like that. It sucks to know that you are limited in the cases that you do want to expand.
One of the, a common insult or remark thrown at you is, why are you playing video games? You should be in the kitchen making me a sandwich.
game, Jenny, from the black, but you'd be a lot cooler if you.
You fucking nerd, to get that half, you dumb. Fucking nice language for. Let me back out so I can report the out of you.
And then it kind of goes into the worst territory, or a darker territory, of guys just threatening you or swearing at you and calling you really awful names just because of your gender.
Do you think it'll ever get better for women gamers and women in the industry in general?
I think so personally, but not with this generation. Like the generation I'm in, it's embedded, it's solid, it's there, it's done.
Several platforms such as Xbox and PlayStation have a way for users to report abuse from other players, and those companies can issue an IP address ban on the harassers.
Unfortunately, these measures do not deter abusers from making a new account and continuing the harassment under a new name. Growing awareness of the issue is prompting more companies to take a look at a way they can help curb the problem.
Well, that's it for this Cronkite Sports Now special. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.